Hello, in this video we will create our first database. After opening the MySQL workbench, we can see a list of our connections. If we click on this plus, a new window will open for you in order to create a new connection. We will call it My First Connection. We will leave it as standard type. At the port section, we will leave the value 3306 as it is, and at the host name, we will leave this value, the equivalent IP of the local host. Our username will be root. Let's now press the test connection button. Now, MySQL Workbench will ask us to enter our password, which we chose when we installed the MySQL server. If you enter the password correctly, we can see that the connection has been established successfully and we can press OK. We click OK again and you can see that my first connection was created. We will click on it and a new window will open. Now that we've connected to our connection, we'll create our first database. Creating a database is done through the create database statement. We will write in capital letters create database and we will give a name to our database. We will call it My First Database. Mandatory, at the end we will write a semicolon. If you want to enlarge this text, you can hold the Ctrl key on the keyboard and scroll from the mouse wheel. To execute this instruction, we will have to hatch it with the mouse and press this lightning button. This is the execute button. We can see that a window will appear below, and here we will have our reports. We can see that our instruction was executed successfully. Let's create a second database. I will call it My Second Database. For this, we will write create database My Second Database, mandatory a semicolon at the end. I will hatch the query with my mouse and press this lightning button again. Again, I can see that my second database has been created. If we try to create an existing database, we will get an error. If we hatch again with the mouse our second instruction, we can press the execute button and now we can see that we have an error. Can't create my second database. Database already exists. So far, we've created two databases on our server. Through the show databases statement, we can see all our created databases. So we will write show databases and put a semicolon at the end. Hatch the query with the mouse and execute it. We can see that here we have a list of our databases stored on our server. I will have more databases here than you because this is not the first time I've worked with MySQL databases on this computer. Instead, in this list, you can see that my second database and my first database is created. At the moment, I have two databases that I can use. Suppose I want to work on my first database. In order to be able to work in that database, I will have to use it. This is done through the use statement. Therefore, I will write the use keyword, the name of my database, My First Database. Semicolon at the end. I will execute this instruction and we can see that at this moment I am now using my first database. If we try to use a non-existing database, let's call it My Fourth Database. I will run this query and I can see that here I have an exception. Unknown database, my fourth database. Now that we are connected to our database, we are going to create a table. The creation of a table is done by the create table statement, after which we will specify the name of our table. In capital letters, we will write create table and specify the table name. Suppose we want to store people in our table. Therefore, our table will be called person. After choosing a name, we will open and close two parentheses, and at the end we will put a semicolon. Inside these round parentheses, we will specify, separated by commas, the columns of our table. These will be specified as the column name, which will be one of our choosing. We will leave a white space, after which we will specify the data type, which can be of any known data type that we've discussed in the previous video. Suppose our people that we will store in the person table will have an ID of type int. Therefore, I will write the name of the column, ID. I will write a white space, and then I will declare the data type, which is int, in uppercase letters. Now we are going to specify the following column. I will write a comma, move on to the next line, after which I will specify the name of the column. I will write first name. This first name will be a text. Therefore, the data type will be varchar. A name can generally have an average of 20 characters, let's say. Therefore, I will declare a varchar of 20 positions. After the comma, again, I will declare another column that will represent the last name of our persons. The column will be called last name and will also be of type varchar of 20 positions. How can we see all our tables? In order to be able to see the tables in our database, we will have the instruction show tables. This instruction can only be used when we use a specific database. I will write show tables. At the end, semicolon. I will hatch this instruction, execute it, and we can see below that we don't have any tables. Instead, if I run my first query, the create table query, now I will execute again my show tables instruction. Here I will be able to see the person table. To see all the data in our table, we will write the following instruction. We will write select star from the name of our table, which is person. At the end, semicolon. I will hash the query, execute it, and we can see the structure of our table. We currently have no entries in it, so the only thing we will see will be the column names. Let's create another table, in which we will store cars. The cars will have an ID, a brand, and a model. Instead, I want to create this table in my second database. At this time, any query we will run will be executed in the first database, because that's the database that is selected right now. To create our table in the second database, we will have to use the second database. We will write use my second database. Again, I will execute this query, and we can see that now we are using the second database. If I execute the show tables instructions again, we can see that this time we do not have any tables, because our persons table was created in my first database. Now I am using the second. Here we will create another table and we will call it car. We will write create table and we will name our table car. We will open parentheses and we will write a semicolon at the end. Now, in parentheses, we will specify the column names. We will have an ID of type int. We will have a brand of type varchar of 20 positions. We will have a model, again of type varchar of 20 positions. And now we can create our table. We can hatch it with a mouse Press the execute button and let's show the tables now in the second database. We can see that the car table is now existing here. Let's select everything from the car table. This way we will be able to see our car table structure. We have an ID, a brand and a model.